Okay, let's unpack this. We all know how quickly news can hit us, especially today. 1 minute a headline breaks, the next your feed is just flooded. It makes it really, really tough to grasp what's actually happening, let alone, what it all means. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a recent, very significant event, the shooting of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, the conservative activist. It really did seize national attention almost instantly.
Exactly. And let's be really clear right up front. This isn't about debating policy. It's not about taking sides. Definitely not about endorsing any viewpoint.
No, the goal here is different. It's about cutting through the noise, confronting the reality.
Right. We want to look meticulously at the facts, try to identify the emerging patterns this highlights, and then explore our collective responsibility, how we process, how we react to these, well, high-stakes events.
And when things like this happen, that initial flood of information, it can be overwhelming. It often leads to what some call LoopSpeak.
LoopSpeak, yeah. Explain that a bit.
Well, it's where unverified or maybe emotionally charged details just circulate so fast. They kind of create this feedback loop. And they end up shaping perceptions, sometimes, before the actual truth even fully emerges.
That's a great point. So our goal here is to give you a clear, impartial understanding, help you be truly well-informed, really get beyond just the headlines.
Okay, so let's ground ourselves. The immediate facts, as they first came out, Charlie Kirk was shot. It happened during an outdoor campus event.
Right, at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Part of his college tour, very public.
Very public. And the initial reports, urgent ones, indicated a single shot. Early description said, neck or head area, fired from a nearby building, apparently.
And he was immediately extracted by security, of course, taken to a hospital for critical care.
Yeah, and what's immediately fascinating there, and it's a critical pattern we see a lot, is how fast events unfolded and how those first reports, painted a picture that then, well, it evolved.
Yeah.
Dramatically.
It always seems to, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Within hours, major news outlets, official sources, they confirmed his death, which led to this huge public outcry.
And law enforcement, they recognized the gravity straight away.
Absolutely. It escalated quickly. Federal agencies got involved, FBI, ATF joining the local university police, and Orem PD.
And a suspect was taken into custody. That detail came out relatively early.
Yes, although the specifics around that person, identity, charges, potential motives, that was all kept very tight, understandably in those first hours. Fluid.
Yeah, investigative reasons. But here's where it gets really interesting and maybe quite telling about, the climate right now. The political response, it was instant.
Instant. And remarkably bipartisan, at least initially.
Leaders across the spectrum issuing statements condemning political violence.
And national flags ordered to half-staff. That really signals the perceived gravity, right?
Absolutely. A deeply unsettling moment for the country, clearly. That immediate high-level response, it shows how deeply this stuff resonates.
Even if just in the initial condemnation, it seemed to transcend the usual political divides for a moment.
So for this deep dive, we're going to break down that timeline really carefully, separate what was verified from what was, well, unknown or just speculation in that early chaos.
And then zoom out, look at the larger context, the patterns of rising political tensions, and finally the implications for institutions and for us, trying to navigate this whole information landscape.
Right. We want to help you connect those critical dots without just feeling overwhelmed by the noise.
Okay, so the timeline. To really understand what happened, walking through it is crucial. But we have to remember how dynamic it was, almost kaleidoscopic, the early reporting.
Yeah, information changing minute by minute.
Exactly. Our sources, Reuters, AP confirmations, law enforcement pressers, they paint a pretty vivid picture, though. Around 12:20 p.m. Mountain Time, that's when the shot was fired, during his public address.
And eyewitness reports hit social media almost instantly, right? Describing the sound, the panic.
Intense crowd panic, yes. Security acted fast, trained for it, extracted Kirk, rushed him towards medical care.
And the campus lockdowns. UVU went into lockdown pretty quickly.
Almost immediately. Critical measure, secure the area, student safety paramount.
Then, early afternoon, reports started coming from local police. Suspect in custody.
Right. A key detail brought maybe a sliver of control to the chaos, but specifics were still very limited. Active investigation.
Understandable. And then, by late afternoon, early evening.
It was a national event, no question. National leaders, the president issuing statements condemning the violence.
And the reports confirming Kirk's death became, well, definitive then. solidified the tragedy.
At the same time, you saw the federal response ramp up significantly. FBI, ATF specialists coming in.
Because it was now clearly a high-profile, potentially politically motivated homicide investigation.
Precisely. So that's the intense progression. But cutting through that first rush, what can we definitively say versus what was still unknown or just fluid in those first critical hours?
That's such a critical distinction, especially thinking about how narratives form so fast.
Right. And research shows we have this cognitive bias towards initial reports, even if they're later disproven.
So a real deep dive means resisting that first impression trap.
Exactly. It's about verification, but also actively questioning early assumptions. So what is verified, based on reputable news, official statements? Charlie Kirk was shot at Utah Valley University during a public event. That's certain.
Okay.
The shot is strongly believed to have come from a nearby structure or building.
Suggesting planning, distance.
Exactly. Not a close quarters thing. Law enforcement federal agencies responded massively. High priority case. A suspect was detained at some point. That's verified, even if details were withheld.
And critically, major outlets and officials reported his death. Tragically, that held true.
Yes. But then there's the unknown or fluid part, and this is where speculation creeps in, fuels that LoopSpeak.
Right, like the motive.
Precisely. The precise motive was unclear. Still takes time to establish. Was it political, targeted, or something else? Personal vendetta, mental instability, unrelated grievance. We just didn't know then.
And the suspect's final status? Identity accomplices?
All closely guarded by investigators. Necessary, but leaves a void.
And forensic details, too, I imagine. Weapon, distance, ballistics.
It takes time, not immediate. And the full medical timeline, hospital reports, exact cause of death that wasn't instantly public either.
So we have to focus on what we do know, what's verified, and acknowledge what's still unclear. Avoid adding to the speculation.
That's the core of it. That bedrock of verified information is essential.
That clarity, knowing the difference between facts and ongoing investigation, that's what we're aiming for, helping you avoid that rapid-fire speculation.
Hey.
And when you pull back from those immediate facts, it really does become clear this didn't happen in a vacuum.
Not at all. It speaks to a much larger, more concerning climate.
And Charlie Kirk himself, I mean, he's not just any public figure.
No. Founder of Turning Point USA. Hugely visible, influential in youth conservative organizing.
Known for a direct, often provocative style. Mobilizes young conservatives on campuses.
His events often draw significant attention, both positive and negative, which makes him, unfortunately, a prominent potential target in this charged environment.
That visibility is key to understanding why this resonated so deeply and why it might fit into broader patterns.
It really raises that important question. What kind of security environment are we actually in right now, especially for public figures, public events?
Yeah.
This event, sadly, it follows a really troubling pattern. Rising threats, actual violence against political figures, officials, even just ordinary people involved in politics.
And the speed of the reaction.
Well, what's often missed is how quickly polarization can weaponize a tragedy like this. Our sources actually highlight something stark, a nearly 300% increase in inflammatory social media rhetoric within the first 2 hours of these kinds of incidents compared to just a decade ago.
Wow, 300%.
It's not just that politics is polarized, it's the speed, the almost automatic weaponizing of grief and fear online.
So the polarization effect is just amplified.
Profoundly. Congressional responses, media talk, social media especially, it all reflects these escalating tensions. It creates an environment where, tragically, some might see such actions as justifiable.
And just to be clear, these observations, they're drawn from the sources we've examined, right?
Yeah.
Reuters, AP, network updates, police pressers.
Absolutely. A solid factual foundation from multiple angles.
Okay, so this brings us to a really crucial part of this. Responsibility. The responsibilities that come with events like this. For institutions, and for us, just as consumers of information.
Yeah, thinking about the institutions first. Universities, open venues. Does the security posture match the threat level for certain speakers?
That's a huge question. How do you balance open access, academic freedom, with necessary protection?
Especially against Snoper-type threats, or highly motivated individuals targeting public events. It's incredibly complex.
What does enhanced security even mean there? More perimeter control, surveillance, special teams, while keeping a campus open.
It's a critical debate, sources suggest. Security pros, university admins, they're grappling with this. No easy answers.
And then the aftermath. Those first 24 hours. How should leaders speak?
To inform, yes, but without inflaming tensions. without fueling more polarization.
This is where that idea of avoiding radicalization loops comes in, right?
Exactly. These cycles where charged, unverified info just fuels more extremism online, often before the official facts are even out.
A rumor becomes truth almost instantly.
It can. And ethically, what about sharing raw footage, graphic details in real time?
Is the rush to be first, or maybe to shock, actually serving the public?
Or does it risk normalizing violence, desensitizing people? The goal has to be avoiding those dangerous feedback loops, ensuring public safety.
Which means really careful thought about what gets shared and how. It's not just about speed, it's about impact.
And that leads to policy thoughts, too, often contentious.
Yeah. How do you reduce copycat risk, prevent future attacks without chilling legitimate speech?
That's the balancing act. Chilling speech, meaning stifling debate or protest out of fear or because of overzealous security or laws.
So what kind of proposals are discussed?
Our sources mention a range. Enhanced federal funding for threat assessment programs trying to spot potential attackers early. Debates around social media regulation, curbing violent rhetoric, misinformation, still very debated.
Things like red flag laws.
Yes, allowing temporary firearm removal from those deemed dangerous. Plus, the ongoing debate about Second Amendment rights versus public safety.
Each one has significant trade-offs. Finding that balance between security and free expression, it's a huge challenge for a democracy.
Monumental.
So, wrapping this up, what's fascinating here is how the stark facts of a tragedy like this force us to look beyond the immediate shock. We've tried to dive into the details, the timeline, but also peel back the layers on how information flows or doesn't flow in a crisis.
And explored those larger patterns, political polarization, security concerns, it all connects.
Yeah.
Ultimately, this deep dive really underscores the need for, let's say, sophisticated critical thinking when we engage with high-stakes news.
It's not just about getting the facts straight eventually.
No, it's understanding the context that gives rise to these events, resisting that first impression bias you mentioned, allowing verified information time to surface.
And recognizing our shared responsibility, how we consume information, how we contribute to the discourse.
Especially when faced with political violence, which is fundamentally anti-democratic. Regardless of the target, our collective response really matters.
It shapes what comes next. So here's something for you, our listener, to consider. In an age where information travels at light speed and emotions, well, they can run even faster, how can we individually, collectively better prepare ourselves, our communities, to respond to future high-profile incidents? Not with more fire, not more outrage, not more division, but maybe with more light, more reasoned perspective, a commitment to understanding the whole picture, something to think about.